हर गाना सेम, हर गाने में इसको किसी से दिक्कत, हर गाने में अपने बाप का जिक्र, हर गाने में दिल्ली 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 जैसे बेच रहा है बस के टिकट.
Hello and welcome to Do I Like It, a Quint production where we review anything and everything under the sun. मेरा नाम है प्रतीक लुद्धू and in this episode I'll tell you do I like the EP Emojis Volume 1 by Fotty Seven. Fotty Seven is an Indian rapper who is based out of Gurgaon and he is heavily linked to the Delhi hip-hop scene. He just dropped his album mixtape or EP. Let's just call it project. He just dropped his project called Emojis Volume 1, which is based on the 5 stages of grief. And if you know me, I am somebody who has had their fair share of the 5 stages of grief, so I was excited off the bat. अब इस प्रोजेक्ट के ना 2-3 गाने पहले ही आ गए थे which I hadn't listened to at the time for some reason. So for me, this project is like a complete collection, new songs from like start to finish. So that's what I am going to consider this as. Now, 47 is what I call a Delhi ka macho rapper. He has always had insane one-liners, but I think barring a few songs, it always seemed like he hasn't put those lines to a very great use. Matlab, his initial wave of stardom with songs like Chal Nikal and Haan Bhai felt like a fresh wave of Delhi ka swagger. You know, Haan Bhai, kahan reh gaya? Haan Bhai, aa rahe kya? Matlab, this is the way we speak to people in real life, right? But honestly speaking, over time, this style started feeling a bit samey. It's not like the Tere Bhai ka naam kya hai wale jo gaane the wo bure the ya kuch. They were really nice, but yaar thode repetitive to ho rahe the, which I think even started getting to him, which is why I think we see such a diverse collection of songs on this project. Because a 47 song had almost become a format, a formula. एक catchphrase ले लो जो एकदम दिल्ली का swag represent करता है, जैसे पागल है क्या, या गूद आया है, या फिर वो वाला जो था गलत अपने लौंडे, या फिर obviously हाँ भाई, जो कि काफ़ी मतलब there used to be a time where studio पे हम लोग जब भी chill कर रहे होते थे और किसी का फ़ोन आता था, obviously the first thing everybody would say is हाँ भाई, और बाकी सब लोग background में चिल्लाने लग जाते थे, हाँ भाई कहाँ रह गया, हाँ भाई आ रहे क्या. So it started becoming a formula, but it's not like it's a bad formula. तो ये कर दो, एक हुक बना दो जो ऐसा रिपीट बार बार ही होता रहेगा. वर्स में एकदम करारी पंच लाइन्स मारो जो एकदम दिल्ली की बातचीत है ना वो वाली, एंड हैव अ बैंगिंग बीट एंड समटाइम्स यू नो टॉप इट अप विद अ सुपरस्टार फीचर लाइक बाली और बादशाह और रेबल और somebody. But with this project, I think he seems to be breaking all of these formats on all tracks, I think. So let us deep dive into these songs, but after this small break. Emojis Volume 1 starts with the song But I Like It, which is about denial. Now, before I dig deeper into each track, I just want to preface that if he wouldn't have linked the songs with the 5 stages of grief, I wouldn't have been able to make that connection because, for example, But I Like It mein, it does have bars that talk about confusion, the feeling of shutting down, about quoting your feelings by saying things like, But I Like It. But at the same time, the music, the storytelling, etc. doesn't really scream denial, in my opinion. The reverse sample wali beat tries to make it thoda reflective and thoda, kuch chal raha hai dimag mein bande ke. But I don't know, it could be a thing of personal taste, but I feel like the link to this 5 stages wala funda was thoda thin. The second track, You Got This, is personally my motivational anthem. From the boom bap style beat to bars like Tera sapna teri ego se bada hai, it really gets you enraged. And honestly, if I wouldn't have stopped going to the gym, this would be my treadmill jam for sure. These 2 songs, But I Like It and You Got This, they serve as really nice openers for this project. Kafi solid. But again, it's more like an elder brother talking to me while I'm in grief. I couldn't feel his anger khud se nikalta hua. But dude, I am not gonna lie. When he says, कर्मों के हिसाब से बनाते हो किस्मत तो मैं इतना खराब हूँ क्या? Uff, that is so calming yet so unsettling. It was like, wow, man. Remember in the Rebel 7 wala review, End of Vishesham ka, I had said कि I want more from artists like Rebel. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. The next track, Confessions, was like a heartbreak song, as the emoji tells us. And I personally am not into these kind of songs as much, but I appreciate the lyricism and the way he rode the beat. It was very personal and very vulnerable. Matlab, bahut acha, nice song. But after this comes my favorite track of the project, POV Freestyle. He was at his most vulnerable, just like the emoji. It was like raps that you write while you're drunk. And कोई inhibitions नहीं लगी उसमें मेरे को. Even his vocal delivery was थोड़ा sobby and बहुत मतलब निकल के आ रहा था अंदर का दर्द. And it also felt a bit like one of those Drake वाले album intros, you know, vocal chops, थोड़ा uneven rhyme schemes, that underwater effect. It was really, really तुम्हें खुद वो beat का BPM इतना slow था कि वो तुम्हें एक एक लाइन पे पॉन्डर करने को sort of force कर रहा था. My favorite bar was when he says, देख माँ no hands, किसी का हाथ नहीं आपके सिवा. See, when I say that he has amazing one-liners, I mean exactly this. But जब वो lines POV Freestyle जैसे गाने में आती हैं, तब artist के साथ ना एक connection develop होता है. And in my opinion, एक artist चाहे कितना भी skilled हो on his pen, lyricism और bars सिर्फ तुम्हारे दिमाग को impress करते हैं मेरे ख्याल से. But जब उसी skill से कोई तुम्हारा दिल छूता है, that connection becomes, you know, much more permanent. I'll give you an example. Lil Wayne is my favorite rapper. But that is not because he has the best punchlines. I mean, he does. But जब इन punchlines का use करके वो Tie My Hands या फिर Man I Miss My Dogs या फिर Paradise जैसे गाने बनाता है, तो as a fan, I'm ready to excuse all of his corny lines और जो mid tracks है, because let's face it, Lil Wayne की कुछ punchlines बहुत गंदी होती हैं. But he can always balance that with a song like Mona Lisa or with a song like Can't Be Broken जो Carter 5 पे था. So POV Freestyle was such a track for me, because अब इसके बाद 47 कितने भी repetitive गाने बना ले, I'll always know that he's just one song away from making something like POV. I'm not saying कि हर गाना introspective होना चाहिए, but these vulnerable and introspective songs in turn make the brag rap वाले tracks better, because उससे artist की एक ज़्यादा well-rounded personality निकल के आती है ना. Perfect example, J. Cole and Kendrick. दोनों जब एकदम ऐसा rapidly rap spit करते हैं, like on New Freezer या फिर Off D's, you're like, dude, the same guy who gave us You and We Gonna Be Alright and Wet Dreams, they can give us these kind of bars. क्योंकि यार दिमाग को बोर करना ना बहुत आसान होता है, बट एक बार कोई चीज़ अगर दिल को छू लेती है ना, it's hard to wear that out. The most innovative show of skill can seem played out real fast. Case in point, Christopher Nolan in Tenet. But add just a little bit of emotions and vulnerability into it, and you get something like Interstellar. So overall, this EP is an amazing first step to making different kinds of music. Bhai, I am so happy कि देसी हिप हॉप के आर्टिस्ट नई लेन ट्राई कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज लेट्स फेस इट, इंडिया में गैंगस्टर्स नहीं होते. एटलीस्ट जो म्यूज़िक, जो हिप हॉप म्यूज़िक हम सुनते हैं जिन लोगों का, स्पेशली इवन द अंडरग्राउंड स्टफ, नो, मोस्ट ऑफ अस, हम सब अच्छे घरों से आते हैं. वी आर प्रिटी प्रिविलेज्ड एंड वी हैवंट सीन अ लाइफ ऑफ क्राइम एंड वायलेंस द वे the American rappers, and especially like the black American rappers, have seen. But that doesn't mean that we don't struggle, right? We are struggling with mental health, we are struggling with self-image issues, we are struggling with things like obesity. But our hip-hop just doesn't reflect that. I mean, when have you heard a mainstream Indian rapper talk about things like, you know, being fat, being not good enough in the world and all of that? It's always like, oh, मैं ये कर दूंगा, वो कर दूंगा. And especially, this is the thing with Delhi hip-hop that I notice. Like, for example, when Calm said, Encore की मम्मी उसको अब नहीं डांटती on TNS's album, that's realer and more gangster than, you know, Dilli, guns or Marpeet, etc. It's hard. As for this project specifically, it feels less like Fotty himself is going through grief, and more like he's watching and observing someone on the outside going through the 5 stages and talking to them. This is not to invalidate his feelings in any way. I mean, everybody's grief looks different, sounds different, feels different, but I think it couldn't translate into the music as smoothly. Lekin that Sidhu Moosewala line invalidates everything I just said. Oh my god, man, what a line. So, do I like it? Well, based on the first few listens, I really like it. 2 गाने तो इसमें सीधा लूप पे बजेंगे, POV and You Got This. बाकी भी काफी डोप हैं, तो सुन लो उनको. And tell me what you think about the project. And before I let you go, I want to address 47 directly. Bhai, please don't use the papyrus font on your album cover. Is it papyrus or papyrus? जो भी है वो जो अवतार वाला font है. I don't want to be nitpicky, but that's the one thing I simply couldn't digest about the album. And please keep making more music like this. It is quite possible कि इस type के गानों पे views ना आए. But in the long run, I know 40, you don't just want to be a Dilli wala rapper. You have much more depth than this, and you have shown this to us with this album. Great work, I would say. And yes, these were my thoughts on Emojis Volume 1. This was Prateek, and I'll see you in the next one. Do I Like It is a Quint original podcast executive produced by Shelly Walia and Ritu Kapoor. This episode was hosted, produced and edited by Prateek Lidhu, and it uses audio from the song POV Freestyle. The theme music is from BMG Production Music. You were listening to the Quint's podcast.